This is the third video in a series covering 5 of the best new features in Ableton Live 11, which is still in public beta as of February 2021. There are a ton of amazing new features and enhancements in Live 11, but for now we're going to take a quick tour of the new and updated audio effects. My name is Brian Jackson, and I'm a music producer, musician, audio engineer, author, educator, and Ableton certified trainer based in Brooklyn, New York. Let's check out some more of the best new features in Live 11. In the first 2 videos in this playlist, I covered the new expression lanes in the Notes tab for chance and unpredictability, and the expression tab for working with MPE. This video focuses on the new and updated audio effects in Live 11. To get the most out of this video, I highly recommend listening on headphones or earbuds, unless you have a good room for critical listening on proper speakers, and certainly you're not going to get the most out of this if you're just on your phone speakers or little tiny laptop speakers. Another change in Live 11 is that Ableton has grouped the effects together by category. Just hold down Command on Mac or Control on Windows to open multiple folders. Chorus-Ensemble, Phaser-Flanger, and Redux are available in all editions of Live 11, while Hybrid Reverb, Spectral Resonators, and Spectral Time are only available with Live Suite, as are Pitch Loop and Vector Delay, since they do use Max for Live, which comes with Live Suite. Right now you're hearing a whole lot of effects. Let's backtrack by turning things off so you can hear where we started. I'm using the totally revamped Redux device to add some lo-fi distortion to this synth bass. In the previous video, I showed you how to use the expression control device to add slide MPE to Simpler, but here I'm using it to control the downsampling amount in an audio effect. Let's jump over to this weird guitar patch in Wavetable. It's kind of a buzzy, bland part when totally dry, which is actually why I've been using it, and that's so I can show you how smart use of effects can make a big difference in the quality of the final timbres of your sounds. The Chorus device now has ensemble and vibrato modes, but the main algorithms have been updated as well. For even more shimmer, let's go with ensemble. And over here I'm using some vibrato for a different type of effect. The Phaser and Flanger devices have been merged into one new device with an added doubler mode. There's a lot you can do with these classic mod effects, but let's just hear a few examples. I think I like this flanger on the sound, so I'm going to leave it here for right now. The Vector Delay device is part of the Inspired by Nature pack that's new with Live 11 Suite. It can do a ton of really cool stuff, so here's just one preset that gives us a taste of its abilities. Let's hear it with some reverb too. Pitch Loop 89 is a Max for Live device created by Ableton co-founder Robert Henke. We're just going to look at one preset for now. This is a deep device, and then we're going to run it through some reverb with the flanger and the vector delay. And now with no effects. Speaking of reverb, let's check out the new hybrid reverb device. It's hybrid because it's convolution and algorithmic, sort of like a mashup of the convolution Reverb Max for Live device and the classic reverb device, but with brand new algorithms and a slew of control and routing options. If you're not familiar with convolution reverb, I've added some links in the description for you on basic concepts and background. Over here on Return B, I have an audio effects rack with 5 instances of hybrid reverb loaded up, and switchable via the single macro knob or launchable with the new variations controls. I'm going to be covering these other new features in the next video in this series, so if you're interested and you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications when I upload new videos. And let me know in the comments if you want to see a deeper dive in another video, since there's so much you can do with hybrid reverb, and for now I'm just going to show you some basics. Let's start with 4 of the essential parameters: convolution IR, which means impulse response, blend, routing, and algorithm. Hybrid reverb has 5 algorithms to pick from, and they each have their own personality, and you'll see some of the parameter change that are unique to that algorithm. In this first instance, I'm using the dark hall algorithm with a plate reverb impulse response, and they're blended 50-50 and running in serial. So what that means is the sound's going to go through the convolution reverb and then to the algorithmic. And notice the color coding here so you can see which is which. Now I'm going to jump over to this next one, which is using the quartz algorithm. And now just the shimmer algorithm. Now just tides. And now just prism. Over here on Return A is a preset that I created using the quartz algorithm in parallel with an early reflections IR, and that way they can work like independent reverbs. So notice the long decay, and then I set the pre-delay to be an 1/8 note with some feedback. So this acts a little bit like an actual delay effect. And then I set the vintage mode to extreme. This is definitely worth exploring. And then I made a few EQ adjustments to roll off some of the low end and bump up some of the mids. If you're wondering about this track over here named Kit to Sends, I created it so that I can send the whole drum kit to the returns. I'll come back to this bit in a few. Also, because I set the sends to pre-fader, we can hear just the effects over on the returns, which will come in handy in the next part. Let's now take a look at the 2 new spectral processors, Spectral Time and Spectral Resonators. Both of these devices process the frequency spectrum of the incoming signal, and they give us a variety of interesting outcomes. Spectral Time is a spectral delay and freeze effect. The delay section has some familiar delay controls like time, feedback, dry-wet blend. The rest of the controls are related to frequency and how different frequencies are processed. If we look here on the spectrogram, we can see what's happening. The time vectors from left to right, and the frequency vector is shown here as high to low hertz from top to bottom. Ableton describes the resolution as a trade-off between fidelity and latency, but I'd also say it's just a way to get different sounds out of it. This freezer feature is great at creating infinite textures. Let me give you a few examples so you can just hear it for yourself. Jumping over to Spectral Resonator, we can think of this as something that splits the sound up into a bunch of different harmonics, and then we can process those harmonics. Let's play with a few of the parameters for a second here. Okay, now let's change the mode over here on the left from internal to MIDI. Now the frequency is based on the incoming MIDI notes from our weird guitar track over here. We can even transpose them if we want. Let's hear it with the Spectral Time effect now. And then let's add some of the hybrid reverb. Before wrapping up, let me explain the routing that I have going on over here. This bit is a little bit more advanced, so don't feel stupid if you're not following what I'm talking about. If you're interested, I can do a detailed video on the routing options in Live. Just let me know in the comments. You can see here that these sends are disabled and that I cannot enable them. If I unfold this drum rack, we can see that each pad chain has its own sends, which I set up so that the audio to chooser is assigned to the main returns in the mixer, and it's not happening internally in the drum rack. You'll see a lot of the drum rack presets have internal sends and returns, and you can do that, but I like this method so when it's time to mix, I don't have to dig around down in the device view for adjusting sends to delays and reverbs. But when you do this, the track sends are disabled. So, to send the entire drum track to the returns, I simply use another audio track with the monitor set to in and the kit track as the audio from. So this is essentially duplicating the output from the drum rack. Then I set send C to be pre-fader so that we can hear just the effects and not the dry drums. Of course, it's crucial that you follow the best practices of having your reverbs and delays set to 100% wet on your returns. Not just for this workflow, but pretty much in general. So yeah, this is a few more steps, but then I have a ton of control for sound design options, for composing, creativity, and definitely when it comes time for mixing. In the next video, I'm going to show you some of the new macro features that I glossed over when talking about hybrid reverb, and also how to use the new scene follow actions to quickly and easily create rough arrangements. And then the final video in this series will be overdubbing in the arrangement view and using the new take recording and comping features. And I know a lot of people are really excited about that Ableton finally added those, and I'm looking forward to showing you how I'm going to be using those. Let's do an outro now, just doing some A/B comparisons of this rough composition with no effects, and then with all of them back on. And again, if you have headphones, you're going to hear a lot more. enjoyed the content of this video, please subscribe and hit the like button.